we take for granted the things that we become familiar with. It's like 48 Law of Power, Robert Greene, Law 16, use absence to increase respect and honor. So the things that we have access to, we lose the appreciation for them once we become so familiar with them. I'll give you an example. It's like when you get a new iPhone, the chase before you're getting it, you're like, oh, I want that new iPhone, or I want that new PS5, or I want that whatever object or intangible that you want, or it could be a person or something.
Yeah.
We find joy in the fulfillment, in the chase of things. And then once we obtain that thing, it becomes like, it's like an oasis. It becomes more clear to us as we've been in the desert too long.
Do you think so, like, along the lines you said also, like, wanting people, like, do you think it's wrong to want people? Because, like, I feel like people are meant to be free and that, so sometimes, you know, like wanting someone, like, it's a bit, I don't know, it feels like it's limiting towards the other person in a way. I don't know, it's a weird question, but.
What do you think about that?
Do you know what, like, that's a hard question, but, like, I don't think it's a bad thing because, like, you should desire things and but like when you become obsessed with it, then I think that's when it becomes a problem. Because like if it's an unhealthy obsession, you know, it can like cloud your judgment with other things. So I feel like that's when it will be a problem. Yeah. That is a difficult question there.
Yeah, I know, because I was coming from a point of like people are not objects and that. So like wanting an object is different to wanting a person and that.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole different dynamic.
Of course, man.
Just like, and I feel like there's some people out there who got relationships where they treat their partner as an object, or they kind of communicate with them as an object, even though it's not. Because it's almost like they got a pet in it. It's like they want the pet to do a certain thing, but they got their own kind of will. You can't just control them or make them do certain things. So I feel like the best relationships in life are probably just where both people are just feeling like they're free to do whatever and they go on a journey together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I hear that, bro. It's like, of course, it's like the masculine and the feminine as well, the yin and the yang. It's like, we all have our own qualities that like, that are strengths, and then we also have our flaws as well, and it's about understanding your flaws and being able to understand the other person's flaws as well. Because at that same time, you got to be able to take yourself out of your own shoes and put yourself in the shoes of someone else, man.
Because like, once you understand, then it gets to the point of like, cool, then I get to choose, like, if I want those flaws in my life, right? And it's vice versa. Like, I think for us as well, like, we've got flaws, and then people get to choose if they want our flaws in life. Like, no one's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I just wanna, because we don't have like a technical way of doing this podcast, and it's just bare random at the beginning. So, but yeah, I just want to address the camera quickly and say, welcome back to the best podcast in the whole planet. Yeah, you know what? I've always been fascinated with the fact that people say welcome back rather than welcome forward, because like we're not going back. So it's always been fascinating when people go, bro. This was like, welcome back. We're not going back. We're going forward.
Marathon continues, man.
But yeah, do you lot want to introduce yourselves, man? Number one, before you do that as well, I'm really grateful to have you both here.
Thank you for having me as well.
Yeah, man. Listen. We've met. Obviously, me and Zavier met a little while back, but I met Kevin as well not long ago. Like we linked up, had a powerful conversation. We could have shot a podcast there and then, really and truly.
People are ready for that one, man.
Yeah, that was incredible. So yeah, I really fuck with the energy you both bring, and yeah, man. So if you like want to introduce yourselves, feel free.
So my name is Kev Malomo. I'm a content creator. Recently graduate from Bournemouth in sport management, and I'm just out there trying to create a lot of things right now. You're going to see a lot of me from this year, 100%. So,
And just that, and you're someone with some incredible insights on life as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've got quite a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit as well. So, definitely just look out for me, 100%.
Love that.
He goes by Mr. Maloma as well. He's a humble guy.
Thank you.
Come on. You love it.
And myself, my name is Zavier Aida. Or if you want to know my full Nigerian name, Onaturisha Bawa Eta Aida, man. Jeez. I'm from Warri, Delta State. Warri know they carry last. But also I'm living in London right now, enjoying the vibe. Thank you, Leo, for having me on the podcast. Like, right now, I went to the same university as Kev. We both went to Bournemouth University. The difference is, in my undergrad, I studied communication and media studies. Now, I just completed my master's, which I studied entrepreneurship and management, innovation management, pardon me. And with that, you learned a lot of rigorous skills in terms of entrepreneurship, whether it's going down to the starting a business route, but really just the design thinking about, okay, how does an entrepreneur think in terms of when it comes to aspects of leadership, or does it come to when it comes to accounting or business model systems, how businesses create their ecosystems on a level, and how they go about creating their value proposition and finding a market that's right for them and seizing that market share and going about dominating. And this could be in relation to their competitors, because when you're starting a business, it could be things such as learning about your differentiation strategy, because a lot of people we know the market can be saturated. It can be like someone could have that product that you have. How are you going to stand out? Go about and seize that share. But at the moment, I'm very passionate about fitness, going to the gym. I'm in the gym 6 times a week, 5 times a week, even through Dirty December, where I went to Nigeria last in Christmas, and people said, the gram wasn't safe. The gram wasn't safe. Yeah, man. I don't know how my body survived Christmas, but we still put in the work. We still go to the gym, all of that. And other things I'm passionate about, public speaking right now, just becoming a better storyteller. I'm very... that's why one of the reasons why I started a podcast with my co-host Troy Banks. It's called the Energy Podcast with Bauer and Troy, and we empower entrepreneurs, artists, creatives by allowing them to have a platform to tell their authentic stories. And this could be anything from what you're doing, where have you been, where are you going as a person. And the reason why storytelling is such an important aspect to me, and why it's such an important skill to learn, I believe, in the digital age, is because stories have been around for millennia. Stories have connected us with books in the books of history. Stories are the reasons we watch movies and we have that emotional investment to go ahead and sit in, whether you're watching Odeon or View, sit in the back for 2 hours, be gripped until the end. It's because that emotional investment. And if you want to even look at the science of the storytelling, on that side, it's because it plays with our dopamine receptors in our brains, man. And dopamine is the reason why we have increased focus, increased memory, increased motivation.
Do you know?
Go ahead.
Do you know what's really fascinating about cinema in general, and like movies and stuff, or series, anyways? So obviously it's about storytelling, right? But then the storytelling gets transitioned into a vision, so it becomes visual, like, which is incredible, because obviously someone's saying it's one thing, and we're using our imagination, but they've done the imagination for us, which is like, I feel that's fascinating and maybe undervalued or taken for granted as well.
What do you think about the imagination aspect of it, just like the effect it has on us?
So I think that's incredible, because I feel like we get to connect to the story through our own kind of like imagination and how we perceive the world and our own reality. But I feel like when someone else does a movie, right, we're still obviously going to filter it through our own lens, right? But movie is already done for us visually, so there's not much room for imagination unless we want to add some extra stories to that movie ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the 2 different ways of like understanding a story. Someone's doing it for us visually, or we're doing it ourselves visually by hearing someone else telling a story.
I love that. I think the best movies as well leave us on open-ended. There's in the concept of storytelling, and whether it's related with public speaking, one of the most powerful things a public speaker can do is ask questions and leave things on the open-ended. And to give you some examples of movies that have done that, or people who do that, individual actors, examples, look at Inception. How they leave it at the open-ended. I'm not going to say what happened.
You know what? Till this day, I'm not going to lie to you. Till this day, I did not get that movie, bro. Till this day, I don't understand. You get me? The Inception's got me incepted, bro.
Dreams.
Till this day, I don't get it.
Christopher Nolan's the GOAT, man, of directing. Like,
I'm going to have to,
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to rewatch it, bro. But yeah, and try to get it. Cause
For real. And to go about on the topic of storytelling again, I think the best storytellers are comedians.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I think that, just look at Kevin Hart, look at Jamie Foxx, all these guys, the way comedians can grip our attention. So comedians, they give you a false assumption about something's going to happen, and then they reveal their hand. So out of the three different types of people, and when I'm talking about these different professions, or just three different types of people. You have a magician, you have a con man, and you have a comedian. A comedian is the only one who reveals his hand at the end, so he shows you the truth. A con man gives you, and a magician, they give you the illusion. So on that side, why is that powerful on a scientific level as well? Because our brains work in a way that we want to close loops. That's why we love things. That's why we can easily build habits and do things such as heuristics. Because our brain's always trying to make us.
It's trying to make sense, right?
Yeah,
of what's happening.
So it's always trying to, as well, take the path of least resistance, because it wants to focus on other parts of your bodies and which it's working on, if you know what I mean. To lessen the cognitive load, if I can say that. Heuristics, things such as being able to, things becoming muscle memory to you. So say our babies learn to walk, and now it's instinctive to them, or riding a bike, anything like going to the gym, things such as that. I
think babies like kind of like from being a baby, they always put like different objects, like they're trying to eat them and whatever. They're trying to get a sense of what is what, and I think that's how they learn a lot by just trying stuff and just touching things and being physical about it, which is interesting. Just to take it back a little bit, just want to shout out the Energy Podcast. And in one of the episodes, I just wanted to kind of point out one of the most powerful things I've heard. I don't know, I haven't listened to all the episodes, so I don't know what else there in store. But as I mentioned last time, I remember I was listening to it and it was saying that if you think about it, every single person that's in your life now that's a friend or you built a relationship with were a stranger at one point. And that one just slapped me so hard.
That's what my boy Arama said.
I'm just sitting there thinking we were all strangers at some point.
All
like,
credits to him,
it's
man.
crazy, yeah.
Like when Arama said that on the podcast, season 2, episode 8 finale. Go to check.
My man gave the whole deal. It was like,
man,
definitely check it out though.
Literally from there, I was like, Arama, that's so deep, because like let's even all break that down. I want to get your thoughts on that. But in terms of this, think about it, like every friend was a stranger before you met them. So one of the things that Arama said in particular on that podcast was that, so us humans, we can get very easily think about before we go and approach someone or make an interaction with someone, and think, we can sometimes think like, oh, what would they say? Would it be rejection, or would it be like, all the little insecurities and little voices can talk us out of doing those little things. But I know it's like probably not easy like for someone like me to say, because I'm a social butterfly now, but I can say that from a humbling place. I was not always a social butterfly. I did struggle to go out and meet people and talk to people on the street, but you learn to make these little habits of yourself. Every introvert has to come out their shell.
What was your ignition to make those changes?
Yeah, so I told my Lambo and Panache this. Literally, we talked about it on the podcast. So eventually, I was just like, I have to come out of this shell, because I was like a mute as a child, man. Like my parents thought there was like something wrong with me. Like why does this guy go up after every dinner and just go out game all the time, man? Like be social, talk to people. Yeah. And then I went to school in the UK, and I was like one of like 3 black guys in a posh school in Newbury, and from there it was survival mode, so I had to talk to people. But with that, getting older and like going to university and doing other things like high school, the ignition was, I think a lot of things, especially with men, we make changes out of frustration and anger. Like anger is a powerful emotion to get you to move. I love
anger, bro.
To get you to move, especially because of all of the natural testosterone in our body. That's why it's like lifting all these little things. If I'm pissed, I can take that out in the gym or on the weights or anything like that. Same thing when it comes to, of course, I'm not saying like I'm going to social interaction saying like, yo, I'm pissed, why can't I chat to people like that? Nah, I'm saying like, all introverts have to come out their shell. And then for the listeners, for any exercises for people who are on the fence, who maybe like feel like, oh, how do I get out of my shell? How do I do this thing? Do this exercise. I learned this from Andy Fazella, man. He's an entrepreneur. He has a podcast called the Real AF podcast. This exercise, do this every day for 6 months and your life will change. You'll feel like a different person. You'll feel like a completely different person. So every time you leave your house, first thing you do, go up to the first 5 people you see and have a 2, 20, 30, 45-second conversation with them. It doesn't matter what you say. You can ask for directions. You can compliment them, say, nice t-shirt, where did you get that from? All of that. But the key with this exercise is that you can't pick and choose. Yeah. You can't pick and choose the people you go up to. It has to be the first 5 people. So I don't care if that guy looks like he can bite your head off. But no, disclaimer, stay safe out there, people. Like, I'm not condoning anything. I'm not condoning anything. You know how they say, like, investment videos, not financial advice, not financial.
Yeah. we need to add a disclaimer still.
Yeah, I got to add a disclaimer. Hey, don't say Bao made me go up to
this is not a medical advice.
Don't say Bao made you go up to some 7'5" big brawny guy. Like, but no, obviously, but I'll tell you the lesson behind this exercise. Like, when you're going up to the first 5 people you see, and you're having those conversations, those 10, 20-second conversations about anything, just anything, you're training your mind. I was telling Milan about this and it blew his mind, literally. You're training your mind, you're rewiring it to be accustomed to so many different types of personalities. So how I tie that back into the story, what I said when I was in Nigeria, and then I went over to the UK and being one of 3 black guys in that school, I was like, I need to survive. I need to talk to different types of personalities. And then going to one part of the story to add context to this is I went over to school in America, and the school had like 60% international people compared to 40% American people. So what I learned from there is that I was meeting people from South Korea, Mongolia, Jamaica, Spain, Turkey, Russia. And I was getting accustomed to all these different types of personalities, and why that's powerful, and why the listeners or any introverts I encourage to do that exercise to get out of your shell is because you'll go about being able to talk to anyone, and that's such a powerful skill to have in life. Yeah. But yeah, that's my gems wrapped up.
Kevin, have you tried that method yet?
I haven't actually tried that method, no.
Yeah.
But like for me, I feel like with certain experiences, like I've been blessed, like, for example, like I used to work in a hospital part-time, you know, and with the NHS, it's like what the UK's most diverse workforce in the UK. So like with experiences like that, it's put me in situations where, you know, I've had to conversate with like a 90-year-old, 80-year-old man or woman. And it really like, it changes your perspective because you see like what they would, you know, consider as fun or like what they find enjoyable and stuff, and it just changes like your perspective, because for me, like as a younger person, it put me in a position where I'm forced to have to speak to them, but like I feel like it went both ways, so they were able to learn a bit more about youth and like what type of things I was into, and it was it was also it was just quite a very positive situation. So an experience like that, I think, has helped me to be able to like talk to people from different age ranges and different demographics and backgrounds.
Do you lot think that older people are ignorant? Like, obviously it's a general thing I'm saying, because like I'm not saying all of them are like that, but from my experience, from what I've kind of seen, it's like a lot of them are ignorant. And what I mean by that is that they don't really invest the time into learning about the younger generation, and they kind of like judge them, and they go like, oh, in my time it was this, or you know, like we never used to do that thing, or look, they're growing up in technology era, they're all gonna be fit, like, you know, that sort of thing. Is just like they don't really try to understand them, they just kind of judge them, sort of thing.
With like so like a few patients that I come across, like a common theme was that like a lot of them are stuck in like a time frame, you know, and it's like they're almost still within that certain time, so they almost expect things to be like the way they had it back in their day. So to say it's ignorance, I'm not really sure, because like, you know, they existed before a time before there was internet, you know, before we had certain luxuries that we have now. So like, when you even put that into perspective, it's like that is hard for them. It would be kind of difficult for them to
But
adjust.
But then do they have the choice to adjust? That's the question. Like, are they able to adjust? I think they're able. Like, if they wanted to, I think they could adjust if they
Everyone
wanted
can
to.
always reinvent themselves.
Yeah, because look, there's people, and I know certain older people that have adjusted, and they're doing really well with understanding the new generation that's coming up and understanding technology and all these different things. So I feel like it's a choice sometimes.
I would also say it depends on like the access that they have to elders. So like, a lot of the patients that were in care homes or got moved to care homes and stuff, they didn't have any, relatives or whatnot that were of youth or of our age or, or younger. So that's why I say, like, with the perception of being stuck in that time frame, like a lot of these people don't have the access to be like, that's why I say it's okay. It could be ignorance in some cases, but like, I think it all depends on the access they have to the younger generation.
That's a really good point. It's like there's a lot of different factors that's involved. Got a question for you both, yeah. What motivates you? Or like what,
That's a big question.
Yeah, what motivates you, and maybe like what kind of I don't know, because obviously some people haven't figured out the purpose, or sometimes the purpose changes. Like what sort of purpose do you lot want to have in life, or you've got, and what drives you towards it?
You want to go first, or I'll go
You
first?
can go
Yeah,
first.
yeah. Saying that. You are funny. Saying that. You know when it's a loaded question, it feels like a ballistic gun is just on you, like. Bop, bop, bop.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It's just sometimes
Nah,
just
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Man. I love it. What motivates me, man? Oof. I think about it deeply, man. A lot, man. It's gotta be family, man. Family is probably the biggest thing. I put it number one. That's what motivates me. The reason with family is because you just see the sacrifices that your parents have made to bring you into the position you are in, and it's not like a love-hate relationship or whatever, where if they give me constructive criticism, it's out of respect. Like those little things that saying like pop's putting food on the table or mum's unconditional love. And I learned those things from my parents, man, because I feel like a lot of people, especially as a son, you get those masculine traits from your father, and then you get those feminine traits from your mother. So with the masculine traits, I learned so much every day from just observing my dad, man. Like on a level, just seeing like, okay, he teaches me self-respect. He teaches me boundaries. He teaches me self-discipline, showing up unapologetically every day, regardless of your emotions, of your feelings. He teaches me what it means to be a man on a masculine level, like, and that's providing and doing your role and having responsibilities and trying your best to keep your word, even though there are times where it's not easy to keep your word. And these are all things we would struggle with as we're going into this age right now. But doing these things as a man, having that integrity,
Key.
very key on that side. And then for my mother, it's learning qualities such as as you told me just before the podcast, why I'm really good at connecting with people on that side. I get those feminine traits from her. I get those empathy. I get the active listening skills. I get the ability to feel something as someone feels it themselves, man. I really feel like I got that a lot from my mother on that side, and that's why guests on my podcast could be like, yo, bro, you ask such good questions or whatever and things like that. Yeah. And it's very important on that side, man. So, and then secondly, what motivates me is just going back to my old self. I don't want to go back to, I always want to be in a state of transformation, like evolution, and not in a peer pressure way, like saying like, you have to be there right now. Because I've heard you say on previous podcasts saying like, happiness is like not that destination of going, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right. Yeah,
happiness is that destination of like, if you want that new job, if I get a new car, I'll be happy.
And you get to that point and then there's something else and it never stops. Yeah.
So it's finding that dichotomy, that balance with saying like, okay, I'm grateful for all these things in my life, man. I'm living in the now, the present, but I'm also creating my future at the same time on that side. So being in that state of transformation and evolution, because I know all us guys, we get that feeling that chip of self-respect or whatever when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, because integrity is what you do when nobody's watching. You can do whatever, you can post whatever online, but if you know you're not hitting gym, when you at the end of the day, when you look at that mirror, you know if you didn't put in that work or not, if you know if you didn't do that project. So it's about that self-accountability. That's something I've learned a lot from my dad or other things, and even good friends. Udo,
You can hide from...
shout out to Udo Ihona. He's taught me a lot about accountability as well. But yeah.
No, I was just gonna add to it. I was gonna say you can hide from other people, but you can't hide from yourself, man. Like you'll know if you've done the work, you know, like
that's the saying my dad says actually, yeah.
Japanese said we have 3 masks. There's a quote. They're saying like 1 to show our family and friends. I think 1 for colleagues or whatever. I'm so misquoting this right now. and I want to show for ourselves. Ancient proverb. But yeah, it's something like that. But the Japanese say we have 3 masks. So
it makes sense. For yourself, it makes sense. I'm trying to strip down to 1. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to strip all 3 of them off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What motivates you, Kev?
So similarly to you, definitely family. Just because I feel like, you know, I want to be able to like pass on the legacy. Like, and I feel like that's really, really like important for me. Like, you want to continue the work that's been done and been set by your parents, and like, you know, you don't want their hard work and their efforts and everything they've done already for you to, you know, live way more comfortable than they did. You don't want all that efforts to go in vain. So I think that definitely always plays a big part. But then I would say, I think myself, because I think a lot of it comes from within. Like, obviously being like a former athlete, but still trains like a athlete. I think that a lot comes from within, and like just wanting to outdo myself every year, like me versus me, like continuously setting goals. Right? Did I beat it? If I didn't, how do I, you know, actually make progress? And like one thing I always say to myself is that I'm still a work in progress. Like regardless of where I am, it's still a work in progress. So
I felt that right there.
Yeah. So yeah,
and that's for life, right? Like that's for life.
For life, because it's like I just feel like if you don't, like if you're not continuously a work in progress, then you're just gonna get complacent and like, you know, feel like you're not really, especially as a man, innit? I feel like you're not really going to get like I feel like we're built to go and get it. Like,
yeah.
Stagnancy steps in, innit?
Yeah.
So on that note as well, the other thing I wanted to ask you, what do you lot think about, because I've been watching a lot of videos on it and stuff, what do you lot think about alpha and like beta males and all of that stuff that's happening right now? Because there's a lot of stuff when it comes to like males and females or like
so much what they call it, the manosphere, all of that.
So what do you lot think about alphas and betas? And I don't know if there's anything else, because I heard some other ones, some zetas or something.
That annoys me a bit, you know, because like girls would be like, okay, they want an alpha male, right? But you want the guy to be in touch with their emotions and have empathy and have all these, you know, characteristics. You don't want him just to be a hard head and not have any feelings. But then you get some girls that will criticize you too much for having or showing your emotional side.
Yeah, that's what that's what I'm confused about sometimes. So it's like so some girls would go like, like I want a guy that can cry, right? And then but then they go like, but if the guy cries too much, I don't want him. So like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's
a thin line, and I feel like you can't win a lot of the time. Like you just I feel like what is the point with
I just feel like sometimes you don't know what you want, you know, like.
Oh man, this topic cracks me up, man.
I'm just saying.
No, it's true, innit? No, it's true. It's actually very funny. I think it's like, this alpha, beta, man. Like, I'm an alpha and all that. If you're alpha, you don't say you're alpha, man. You communicate through your actions. You show up, man. A guy who says he's alpha is not alpha, bro. Like, it's just a walking red sign saying I'm not alpha. Like that's what I think.
But you know what? But I think, and I think we need to address this as well. I think certain men are just angry, and they're just angry, right? They're not emotionally stable, but then they think that that's alpha just because they're angry. They're just like
that's another good topic as well.
Yeah, they just switch at everything. They get angry at everything, and they say, yeah, I'm alpha. Like what? I'm alpha, but you're just angry. Like
that's not channeling your energy in the right places. That's what that is. That's not alpha.
Yeah.
Alpha's actually being in control. Like I think as a man, the biggest thing or biggest responsibility we have is to be in control at all times. We have to be in control, because then that's how a woman's able to then walk into your life, and you're able to accommodate that. You have to be in control.
So it's mastering your world. It's mastering yourself. It's mastering your environment. in those things. And well, I think there's a Socrates quote: "A man who conquers himself is able to conquer the world." On that side, so it's important to, that's what I see, man. Just focus on becoming the best version of yourself, man, and just everything just comes. Like, man, I can't tell you how many times things like opportunities have aligned with me just because I put in that work, and it's like, an older version of me would not have got that, man. Like, if I was chasing, but if I focus on becoming a person who's worthy of what I desire, and have those strive to have those qualities and those things, universe attracts that to me.
What about manifestation? Where do you lot sit with that?
That definitely, that's a big thing. I think I thoroughly believe in that 100%, because
good topic.
It's like the repetition of keeping it in your mind and then once it's in your mind, it becomes your reality, because it's like you almost walk into it. So it's that repetition. That's what's key about manifestation. I think like it's not. I think people think it's like you saying and like wishing. No. It's deeper than that. It's like, as you said, I think you said something about like rewiring your brain. Like that's, I feel like what manifestation kind of falls into a little bit, because it's like you rewire your brain to not lose sight of the prize. What you really want. So yeah.
I got some heat to drop on that. Some heat, man. So in relation to manifestation and what he said about not losing sight of it, there's a big difference between a lot of people in this life. A lot of people know their value, but a lot of people don't. There's a difference between knowing your value and understanding your value. Let me say that again. There's a big difference between knowing your value and understanding your value. You can know your value and not act upon it. And have that ignorance, as they say, ignorance is not knowing. But stupidity is knowing and then choosing not to act on it. But then you can understand your value about why you do the things you do, or you're choosing to act upon like your intentions, that what you're doing. So say if I want to change my body in the gym, I use the gym as an example for me, because fitness has the most impact on my life, the biggest ROI, return of investment on my life, in terms of changing my self-confidence, self-respect, relationships, all these things, like changing my body. Crazy experience for me on that side. And it's important to understand your value on that side, because when you understand your value, you're no longer bound by the chains of what somebody else is doing, or moving iffy or walking on eggshells because someone puts conflict your way on that side. Like, I could say a joke to you, Leah, but I know you're sure of yourself and your skin to be able to be calm with it, like whatever, depending on obviously context on the joke.
I was gonna say fitness. I think fitness helps people connect with themselves. And understand, and it's going back to understanding, my own value. Like, it helped me understand who I am. And then after that, it was all about utilizing my value, right? Like just knowing what my value is and utilizing it. Exactly. But it's interesting because I've realized that some people are stuck in certain stages. I know some people who are stuck in discovering what their value is in first place. Because, it's like, unless they discovered it, it's like, how are they going to try to understand it? So it's like, I feel like some people haven't hit the discovery stage yet in life as well. So it's powerful to just hear people that, like when they say like, I know what my value is, I know what my purpose is. It's an incredible thing.
What do you think about how people can discover and find their own purpose on that side? I think about discovery.
I think for me, like I always say, like people should just try to do as many things as possible in life. And I think there's also this fascinating bit of like what's stopping them from doing it. Like if someone's like out there and they don't want to do those things, or they don't want to experiment and try things, it's like what's stopping you? Like what's happening for you internally that's stopping you? And I think for every person it's different. Sometimes I don't know, it might be something to do with belief or whatever. I don't know what it is for them, because I can't connect to that. You know what I mean? But I think for me in life, I just tried a lot of different things, and because
what do you think about the power of self-belief when it comes to
do you know what
things?
That in itself is interesting, because actually one of the things I want to talk about as well is I wanted to bring up religion. And I know obviously like religion is like a really tricky topic, because some people get offended, some people don't, some people believe, some people don't. But I think when it comes to religion, I think what's really interesting about that is there's the aspect of belief. And I think, you just spoke about self-belief, and it's like, and I think belief in general, whether it's self-belief, whether it's religious belief, whether it's just any belief in general, I feel like belief is super powerful, because belief is almost like a conviction that something is there. So if I have a sense of self-belief for something, then I'm convicted around something within myself that's there, like maybe a value or something. And then if I believe that, I'm going to behave that way, you know? So I think it impacts their behavior. And you know, and if you behave a certain way in life, people going to connect to that behavior and see us in a certain light. And so all of that stuff is all connected and it shapes us.
Wow.
In a
Just
way.
taking in that heat, bro.
Yeah, man.
Spitting, man.
Bro, I've been taking it in, bro. Like you lot been firing at me, man.
Man, because like what you said as well, like on strength of convictions, that's so key, man. Because the man who has like confidence in himself against the confidence of others and trust of others on that side. So yeah, man, it's like, and that's so important as well if you're starting anything entrepreneurial or anything. Don't wait for anyone to believe in you or anything like that, because that will never come until you go out and no one supports you until you're popular. Let's be real. That's the truth of it. Unless they're really close friends, family, and all of that. No one really, like, you gotta be your biggest fan in whatever you do. Like have to be, like, I can't stress that anymore. Like if you're not, you're done out. You're done out. Like you have to believe in yourself, man. And it's like you have to look in the mirror and be like, I'm the man. Like I'm the man. Like, do you know who I am? Like this is how, and how you see yourself is how people will treat you, like on that side, man. Like, of course you have to communicate those boundaries, those principles, but man, that's literally half the battle. Like on that side, like if you radiate that aura, that energy of like a man who's going somewhere, whether Leo going somewhere, Kev going somewhere, that your mission's just like bigger than you, yourself. And when it's bigger than you and yourself, it gives you that confidence, even though it's scary. It gives you that confidence because you're like saying like, we can relate that to the religion talk now. We can even, I'll get your thoughts on this. What do you think, like the relation between like a calling, being called to do something, and like religion and how that's tied to do something? So some people could be like in Christianity because like, oh, God called me to be here and do this. Yeah. So of course religion's such an intertwined topic, innit? Like on that side.
Just touching on to something you said, like I think the key is like if you don't believe in yourself and you don't have that, then how are you gonna convince others to believe in you? And I think that's like the big like key, because it's like if you're feeling a bit you're not too sure, or like it's not gonna come from anywhere else but you. Like you have to almost literally radiate that and then people will fall in line and starting to believe. And then as you said, the mission or the objective and the goal, like it becomes bigger than you because everybody else is now a part of that with you. So yeah, I think it has to stem from you. You have to have that self-belief to the point where you know it's going to happen. You tell yourself, I know this is going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And then that's almost manifestation again as well.
Yeah, it's true.
You touched on something that we didn't even go into fully. Convictions and having the strength of convictions and seeing something that's like not even there. And that's a big thing in relation to faith. Because faith is like Memphis Depay in that football. He always says this, man, walk by faith, not by sight. So it's like you're taking that step into the unknown. Because at the end of the day, like you gotta understand this, especially as content creators. This is like a big gem we can actually drop right now. Like if like really like
let's drop
it.
Yeah.
Real talk. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing, but some act anyway. Imposter syndrome happens. It happens to all of us. Happens to the best of us. Happens to every day. It happens even if you get confident as hell, man, or whatever you want to do, man. Nobody knows what they're doing. Everyone's using the cards that they have in life and making it work for them to whatever extent they can. Some people make excuses, some people get results. Simple as that. So, whoever you put on a pedestal, is it your celebrity gurus, is it parents, is it mentors on that side? Even your parents, at the end of the day, they have that experience and that's why it's led them to have that discernment that they do in life. But still, you think some days your parents don't say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, let me learn something new about this. It's like it's very easy in this social media age, we we live in to glorify perfectionism and everyone's perfect and all these things, and we all do play the game to an extent on that side. Let's not say that at the same time. And it's very important to understand that comparison is the thief of joy.
100%.
Like it really is, and you have to have that detachment at the same time to know, like, yeah, it is like this online world we're moving into as well, especially in the age of the metaverse. They're now talking about cryptocurrency, NFTs. Woo!
Shit's about to go down.
To end that point, nobody knows what they're doing. Some do it anyway. Take action. If not, man, someone else will take control, man.
Yeah.
So you know what's like, I'm hearing something really, really cool, which is like, we spoke about babies earlier, and the way babies learn how to walk is by trial and error. They just try, they just go for it, right?
Yeah.
There was this one study they've done, I can't remember by who, if anyone wants the details I'll get them, but so there was a photography class, right? And what he did, they had like exams coming up, right? So they had to like get a certain picture to show basically, and they would be judged on that picture and graded on that picture. So the teacher split the class in two. So they split into row A and row B. And then basically row A, they could take as many pictures as they want, right? So it's all about trial and error. They take as many pictures as they want. And row B was all about planning how they're going to take the most perfect picture. And it goes without saying that, you know, the row A, where they took loads of different pictures with trial and error, they had the best pictures and they got the best grades out of the whole experiment. Man. So it was really interesting because, like, I feel like in life, some people are stuck with this whole thing of like, plan, this is going to be perfect. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then they never end up doing it. It's like, you know, they don't take the action. It's like we spoke about, you know, like for 6 months, like just talking to 5 people, random people, and we know that that's going to bring value, but we also know that there's some people that's not going to do it.
Yeah, 99% people won't do it.
So it's really fascinating when it comes to like, we know, like people know what's valuable. People know, some people don't, but a lot of people know there's certain things they can do that's going to bring value to them, but they choose not to do it.
Yeah.
Which is that, now that's the bit that I kind of find fascinating. And then it gets to the point like, what is it about that? And I'm not saying I know the answer, but what is it about that? Is it the fears? Is it the lack of self-belief? Is it the lack of conviction? Like,
so many different factors as well.
Yeah, it's like, what is it? You know what I'm saying?
That's very interesting.
Do you know what? Like, I feel like I personally, back when I was a bit younger, I think I used to be a perfectionist. So I feel like for me, it came from, again, it's comparison. Like, I now will not, like, again, comparison is the thief of joy, but I think you can have people that you look at, but you hold them as inspiration rather than as something that you're comparing yourself to constantly, because you're individual in yourself. So I feel like if you hold that person, you know, especially when you've got examples of people that have come from similar backgrounds or similar areas to you, like role models, like for me, maybe like John Boyega or you know, just people that, you know, look similar to me. That's inspiration. That's not, I should never compare myself to him because he's gone through different experiences to make him the person he is. And I think, you know, as I grew older, I think I was able to just have a bit more wisdom with that, because I used to be definitely a perfectionist and I wouldn't get things done. It stops you from literally completing actual tasks. So yeah, I think that's the key.
I definitely relate to you on that side. It's like it's a constant battle of trying to delete those parts of, not delete, but like trying to like break down those parts of yourself that aren't like that old you. I definitely had those kind of qualities as well when I was definitely in the photography industry as well. I'd be like, oh, is this pic good? Oh, no, I don't know. Then take another one. Like literally the picture example, literally like that. And I'll be like, it's true, man. Like we all have those aspects and stuff. And I think the most, like, we've talked about this on the episode as well. The last podcast you dropped on. Yeah. That idea of just being in tune with yourself, man, and being able to understand yourself on that side. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's key.
Do you know, I was just thinking about the whole perfectionist thing, right? If I wanted to paint a picture, like in my head, I see it as like it might look clear and I know what I want to paint. But if I start painting it, it's not going to come out the way I want it. And I think like what happens with people in general, like, and it happened to me as well loads of times. It's like, it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So I'm like, oh, this is not it. And I'm like, this is, you know what I was trying to say? So, and I think it's interesting because I feel like if I didn't let that side of myself go, I wouldn't even have this podcast. Like, you know, like me and Aladdin wouldn't be doing this. And
shout out Aladdin, coldest
shout out
video
Aladdin.
in the game, coldest.
It's also he's got a mic there as well. He can,
He does. He's getting involved.
my guy can tune in, you know.
What?
But I thought this three of you, lot, you're not having a powerful conversation. I don't want to interrupt anything.
No, bro.
I put my volume down. Like, yeah, you lot, just do your thing, man.
I didn't even know,
you wanna drop a
like,
question?
Drop a question.
Yeah, or do you wanna say anything?
If I drop a question or say anything, then it'll be forced. So I'll leave it till when it comes natural.
Cool.
Okay, no worries. Yeah.
Alright, we might as well jump in.
To relate back to what a train of thought came back to me when I was talking about the previous episode that you hopped on. You talk about confident people have that really ability to be honest with themselves.
Yeah, self-honesty.
Yeah. That's such a key point, which I'm tying into this right now, is because your strength, now to relate this to the topic of perfectionism, your strength comes from vulnerability. I think some of the most confident people have that power of being able to own their vulnerabilities, being able to own their flaws, to wear it on their shoulders, man. Like, and that allows them to operate at a level where they're just smooth, man. They're just flowing. They're just like pure abundance, man. Like they're just a go-getter. They just know how to move and operate in life, man, because they have like embraced that vulnerability. And it could be a situation they've gone through in life or overcoming those obstacles that they do in life. And that gives you that confidence to be able to, man, this thing was sent to destroy me, but it made me stronger.
Yeah. No, it's powerful. It is. But do you know what it is with certain people? I think it's a hard thing to do, like to sit down with yourself and be honest, because you know a lot of people will be in denial about certain things, and like the way you paint, the way certain people paint themselves out to be to their friends is not the way they actually are. So I think it takes you to sit down with yourself and actually like almost break yourself down.
Yeah.
Look at your flaws, be accepting of them, and try and see how you can make them strengths. That's kind of it. Like you have to almost be at peace with the fact that I'm not perfect. I've got certain things that I need to work on, or that I'm lacking in this area, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make, as I said, you're gonna be a work in progress and make steps to trying to put things right or trying to up your skills in that.
How do you define perfection? Like a lot of people keep telling me I'm not perfect, but what does perfection mean?
I think
Leo, what do you think it means?
I think perfection is something that doesn't have any flaws. And obviously
how
you could say
flaw?
flaws, that's subjective, but I guess we get to identify what the flaws are, right? So
from a perspective, I can say I'm perfect because I get to define what the word perfect means. I think perfection is in the eye of the beholder, right? So if I think that what I am right now is perfection, I am perfect.
Yeah, but so the thing with people in general is like they'll find flaws into anything or most of the things they do. So for instance, like even me as a person, I might just go, I have a flaw in this, so that automatically makes me not perfect. So anything that's flawed is imperfect. So, and I think what we're really good at as human beings is finding flaws.
Yeah.
If we weren't able to find flaws in life, we wouldn't have constructed a lot of stuff.
Do you think aiming to be, so you know that phrase, shoot for the moon,
Aim for
and
the
if you
stars.
shoot for the moon. If you miss, then you'll be amongst the stars.
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically, if I shoot for the moon, but I'm never going to hit the moon,
Yeah.
I'm always going to be amongst the stars. Isn't that kind of similar to aiming to be perfection or perfect? Because let's say perfection, let's say, for example, let's say perfection is a defined word based on what society thinks. I can never be perfect, but that ideology. How do you say that one?
Man, butcher that word. Ideology.
And the ideology of you constantly aiming to be perfect, knowing full well we're never going to be perfect, but you're always going to aim to be perfect, means that without that need, that craving, you would never progress, right? If I constantly try to be perfect, then that would allow me to progress. If I think, oh, I don't want to be perfect, I don't care whatever.
So the question is, how do you have a healthy In your perspective, how do you have a healthy relationship with that?
Yeah, what's that healthy balance between trying to be
But
perfect?
I would disagree with you. I would disagree that I think there's many other drivers rather than just perfectionism. I feel like perfectionism can be one of them.
Yeah,
but I feel like there's other drivers like purpose, like
100%.
like you lot mentioned family. There can be loads of different other motivators, and perfectionism is just one of them. It's not the ultimate one. Like,
But it is a common one though.
it is a common one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
perfection, and to relate that, perfectionism can be like to kind of relate to your point, can be related to having that attention to detail.
Yeah.
But knowing when your attention to detail, okay, I've overstepped it. Like I've seen everything, I've evaluated all the possible factors type P, like on that side. So in terms of perfectionism, yeah, man, it's like, yeah, your perspective kind of blew my mind on that one. Interesting. I'm always looking to learn other perspectives on that side.
I have this thing. I told this to everyone when I actually said this to someone recently who wants to learn about this video stuff. My perspective on progression, I think, is almost like the perfect perspective. Because the way I see it, let's say for example, I'm a videographer, I do video editing, I do all that stuff, and the way I see it from my perspective, I will never know everything. I will never be the best. I will never know everything that needs to be known about video, about this, that.
Okay.
And with that being a fact, I've convinced myself that that's a fact.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to have two different perspectives. Either one, I look at it and say, oh, I'm never going to learn anything, so what's the point of me doing it? Or option two is I will never get bored of it because there's always something new to learn. I have opted for option two. I think option two is what makes me...
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? But there are people that look at it and think, you know what, I'm never going to be as good as Rihanna or Drake. I'm never going to be as good as Ronaldo. So why am I trying? What's the point?
But then that's their attitude.
Yeah, that's the attitude. That's why I say, like, I always opt for option two because if I got to a point where I now know everything about video, I'm bored. Like, I feel like those who are at the top that have no competition are the most bored people there are because competition is what makes you want to be better, no?
So can I touch on a new point on that?
Yeah.
So with that, and you said people can get bored at the top on that side. I read a book recently called Winning by Tim Grover. He wrote the book Relentless. Say context, he trained Michael Jordan. And I think he's trained Marcus Rashford, other players, but Michael Jordan was the main thing what he was known for on that side. And Kobe on that side, he trained Kobe as well. One thing that stuck out with him, and he said about greatness and about people in the 1% in sports, is that, of course, they're seeking to learn absolutely everything about their craft and master it, and they say mastery is through 10,000 iterations. Not hours, iterations. So iterations is when you improve feedback on an action that you take. You can do hours or something and you don't improve in it. So, and learning from mentors on that side. He said one of the key things with people at the top is that they will hire a coach to take them to the next level on that side. And that's why when Tim Grover, one thing he said in the book that he was starting his coaching career, his agent career where he was training basketball players, and he went to the Chicago Bulls and he put out his applications and he thought, and when he got his application back about someone who accepted his offer, he thought the last person that would want to coach was Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan was the only one who wanted to coach. Isn't that mind blowing?
Yeah, that's mad.
Because like the Relentless, they hold themselves at a different standard on that side, man, and it's like redefining what you want to do. And I've spoken about this on the first ever episode of the Energy Podcast. People like LeBron James, Lionel Messi, Roger Federer, Lewis Hamilton, all these guys, they make it look easy what they do, but people don't know the amount of iterations and failures and times that they had to keep redefining what they were doing, whether it's hiring coaches. I heard that LeBron James spends over $1 million a year on his body for like what's it called when you go in like an ice chamber and all these little things.
Physiotherapy.
Rehabilitation.
Yeah. All those little things. So he has like a nutrition program, everything. How do you think the guy's 38, 39 still dunking on these?
Have you not heard that thing? That, how do you not know how fast Usain Bolt ran his fastest 100 meters? Was that 6 or 7 seconds? I don't know.
Nah, 9.58.
Oh, no, 5 yeah. Sorry. Think about like people have to say that. What this guy just ran 9 seconds and now you got X amount of money. But it's like you don't get paid for that 9 seconds. You get paid for the 30 plus years that you've been training. Right? I don't get paid for the hour of me filming. I get paid for the 2 years worth of constantly learning how to. Because like, if it's just 9 seconds of running or 1 hour of filming, anyone can do it, right?
Yeah.
But why is it not everyone's not getting paid this much? It's like you don't get paid for doing it then and there. You get paid for learning about it and practicing it and mastering it.
Yeah. I think you just touched a really good point, and I think that's universal. That goes for everything, every single thing. Like this is just that cliche thing of like you see successful people, and people think like, yeah, these people just made it and they didn't put no work in or whatever.
They were
But
blessed. And
yeah,
it was
like
God
whether it's
given.
music, musicians been doing music for years before they blew up, or some people like that. Who's that? The hazy that's recently that mixed and what? Yeah, yeah, that one. So obviously he just like what I'm saying. This got random one in it, so it happens like that too.
Yeah.
But I'm saying most of the people like they put in work. Like whether it's a fight, what I'm saying. Like the fight takes like 3 rounds, but like they've been training for like 3, 4, 5 months.
But even those who are naturally blessed, let's say Messi, for example.
Yeah.
Messi is considered to be a naturally blessed footballer, but no one remembers the fact that when he was younger, he had one leg shorter than the other,
Yeah.
and Barcelona
growing problems.
he had growth problems.
I didn't even know that.
It's mad to think that.
You had to get injections.
Barcelona pay for all that. But whatever. The point I'm trying to make is, even if you're blessed, even if you're naturally talented at something, doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It just means you have a stepping stone. But that stepping stone can equally be something you trip over rather than use to progress, innit? Like I know hella footballers or hella musicians, whatever, that were in school who were really, really good, and
Didn't quite make
I'm
it
saying
to the
because they were manipulated by.
People bloomed in high school.
Yeah, in football, there's loads of examples. I think I remember seeing an interview one time with Rio Ferdinand saying when he was coming up, like one of the best young players that they saw at the time was Ravel Morrison, and to this day he still hasn't lived up to that, and that was all because of attitude problems, I believe. So yeah, like not always the most blessed people with skill and ability don't necessarily make it. It's the attitude that you have.
Even that, like I saw an interview with Neymar. So obviously Neymar's also one that's considered to be naturally blessed.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he was good at football early. He got paid a lot of money early. He got very famous very early, and that was like the biggest stress of his life. So there's 2 ways of looking at it. Either you're going to be not naturally talented and grind a very, very long time, eventually get like what's it? KFC. Colonel Sanders made KFC at the age of 65. If you grind for a long period of time, you finally get it, or you're naturally talented, naturally like blessed. You build on that, but then with all that success comes a stupid amount of stress. You have to deal with that. Either way, regardless of what puzzle pieces you have to work with, it's going to be difficult. And those who are at the top for a reason.
I think for me, like you spoke about the puzzle piece, I think for me the 2 most important questions are, it's like, what do you have, and how you're going to utilize that to get to the next level.
That's it.
You know what I'm trying to say? And then it's like it's almost like a repetition. It's like, what do you have now after utilizing that?
Yeah, that's lit. I like
It's
that.
like
I like that.
you know what I'm saying? I think those are really powerful questions, man.
What other strategies do you do when it comes to like reflecting? So say if you just like finish the year up, you're looking at the end of the year and you're just like, what's some other questions you ask yourself, like saying, okay, how can I?
Do you know what? To be completely honest with you, like I don't really do it anymore. It's automatic. So I've been doing a lot of like. So I feel like for me as a person, I've not always been like that as well. It's been a journey. So I think I've learned how to reflect, how to have an introspect and all of that stuff. Of many years of practice, I think it's got to the point where like now I'm like super self-aware. So I don't need to like just kind of like take the time out like that. It just kind of happens automatically. I think for me, I think my struggle is just more about just kind of like making more money without kind of like doing it at the expense of like fucking people over, basically, if that makes sense. Because I feel like a lot of the time, like looking at businesses, right? Like a lot of the time they would try and trick or kind of manipulate the customers into making more money, sort of thing. So I think for me, I just want to do something that's authentic in life and something that brings value, and if it makes money, makes money. So I'm not like super like money driven, but that's also a downside of myself as well.
I hear that as well, like especially like having past experience working in sales. Like sales has that sleazy, manipulative image already, and then like there's a big difference between like salesmen. Company policies can be like have certain ways that do whatever you can to push over to get the sales. Like nah, that's not like on the integrity level. Like there's certain ways you go about treating people. I more think about in sales like, no, I have to make the sale. No, I think more like, is this product the right fit for this customer? How can I serve them better on that side? And when you come from the service mentality and wanting to serve people and trying to solve their problems on that side, you end up being a killer salesman or closer on that side, being able to provide value, solve problems, and that's very important. And we've talked about the idea of sales, just even tie this into sales as a conversation now. How important sales is life. Like sales is everything. Like I'm selling myself to you every day. I'm selling myself to you in a conversation. I go to a job interview. I'm selling myself in certain situation. So it's very important to think about how can I go about leverage my resources on that side and leverage my identity to like whether this is improving myself in the business marketplace and things such as that, man. So,
do you know what's interesting about what he said? He said, and obviously it's just a narrative and it's just perspective how you phrased it, but it's literally the same. The way I see it is just like you're showing who you are, which is like basically the same thing, like really and truly.
So recently, well, not recently, a couple of months back, November, I went over to New York. I went over to visit my sister out there. Crazy experience, like crazy. Like she goes to Yale out there. And she's doing her PhD at the moment. I also went to go see old high school friends who live in Connecticut. Shout out Joe Tacopina, shout out Matt Tacopina. Joe Tacopina, he's starting a clothing brand right now called Zavier Designs. It's going to be big. Watch out for that in March. You can really go about seeing how the growth on that. And the reason why I say things such as that is because I love seeing other people like go out their way to start initiatives. I can't tell you how many people that have come up to me and like after I started a podcast would be like, yo, you inspired me to start a podcast. I had one friend tell me I'd been thinking about doing a podcast for a year, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. And then I saw you do it, and now I was like, I have to do it. I can't do it. So it's kind of like what we talked about before about things that can hold people back, and I'm of course saying that from a humbling point of view because I've been in situations like that where I've been like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Like, should I post this? Like, killed that aspect out of me right now. But in terms of that, going to New York, it was great to catch up with old friends I went to school with in Connecticut. And with that, I probably got to see, I did all the tourist shit. I just saw like Grand Central Station, Central Park. But one thing, why this trip was different for me is because I hadn't traveled alone for a couple of years because of COVID and things such as that. And it was my first time like on a plane, obviously I went back to Nigeria with my fam like in October before, but it was my first time going like another place by myself, like in a while that I'd been like traveled alone. And man, I've talked about this to Daniel Alfred before, a guy who I've had on my podcast, about the importance of traveling and just being comfortable alone, how it intertwines with it. And it's like, and just a kind of message to the listeners, don't be afraid to go out and eat alone at a restaurant. I do it all the time. Or go out and watch a movie, treat yourself and things such as that, man. Some people may label it weird, but those people can get out, man. I don't know. You love that? You love that? I love that too. Yeah.
That's when you discover yourself. Like that's how you actually know yourself. Being with yourself and being comfortable with yourself. So.
And the answers come in silence. I'm a big believer of that as well. Like it's not every day, of course, like music, all that, like walking down the street, headphones. A skill that as well, like, has really helped me on the levels, just going for walks, like, and just like not having music playing and just being observing. Like, I'm a big, like, once you really get to understand human nature on that side, you never go back. Like, you're always like, I know you're probably like curious as hell, man. You're always in like, oh, I wonder what those people like are thinking. I wonder like, especially if you study like body language, that's a whole nother level. I've talked about this on the podcast before. Like if you study body language and you have a fascination with psychology, you can go out in public and never be bored, man. You'll always be looking like, oh, so that's what that is like this is why that person's like you know what I'm saying? I don't even have to say scenarios, innit?
Yeah.
Like you guys understand.
'Cause what did you say? You said I think you said this before. It might have been on your podcast, but what verbal communication is only 25%.
No, so non-verbal communication is 75% of communication, which consists of vocal tonality, hand gestures, and of course body language and facial expressions, those kind of things. Yeah. The other 25% is, of course, words and those aside.
So words really are not the full front of the way we express ourselves.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm always listening to someone's actions on that side, and we can get into this now, body language and things such as that. There have been so many times I've saved energy just because I had an understanding of someone's body language or something like that.
Yeah.
So many times I've been like, I
can think back to
okay, like that's not safe for podcast. A female business. We can't talk about that. We can't pay ourselves out. But yeah, man. Body language on that side, you can save so much time. Like whether you meet someone like in the interaction, be like, I can tell this person wants to leave because their foot is angled at the way. So basically, when I'll give you a quick some body language gems right now. Just a few, like I can't be dropping the keys.
Yeah. No, go on.
Drop the keys.
If you got to read books, man.
I'm putting the work. Come on, I can't be. But yeah, a few body language gems is like, say if you're in a conversation with someone and their feet are away, like their feet are pointed away in the direction they're walking.
Depending where the facing, where the feet are facing, and then that indicates whether they're interested in the conversation.
Yeah, that indicates whether.
Do you know what? And I know about this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't know if I believe those things. You know, I just feel like sometimes someone could just, like the feet might just be facing a certain way, like.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I hear that point as well. I completely hear that point as well. So that's why it's about looking at someone's base, and they say in this body language literature, is looking at someone's baseline behavior, because we all have different types of baseline behaviors. Body language is not about knowing about whether someone's doing something or lying. It's about looking at deviations from their baseline behavior.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So you're saying, okay, you could be naturally nonchalant, or I could be naturally loud, or whatever. What are the deviations? Maybe I start speaking more quietly now. Maybe I start putting my arms together like this, that I'm more stressed in the conversation, like doing like that, because you do like more open when you're more confident and like relaxed and things such as that. Yeah. So it's about understanding someone's baseline behavior.
So do you know what?
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I think with that as well. Yeah. So I'm not saying I disagree. Like I think there's a lot of truth in that, and I think that there are some baseline behaviors that kind of like highlight certain things and whatnot. Yeah. But I do think that some people are just different, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like some people might just be like this, but
different breeds.
But like super engaged. You know what I'm trying to say? Like some people are just like that. I met some exceptional people in life, where like you'd never think, you think like, right, this person's a weirdo, but they're just like, you know what I'm saying? They're just different. Like, and you'll never, and I think that's why I find those people the most fascinating people, and I enjoy interacting with them the most, because like, you don't know, like you think that that's what it is, but it's not.
It's a world of discovery. Yeah. That's what something that you got. One powerful idea that Robert Greene said in his book Laws of Human Nature is that you got to see every person you meet as an undiscovered world that you wanna like a new country you're traveling to learn about, to understand. He says either you know yourself so well, you know yourself, be able to let go of yourself, really understand that person's perspective on that side. And that's why it's about having that childlike wonder, that curiosity, saying, why do you think that way?
But you know what it is? It's true. Every person is like, technically the way I see it, it's like yes, we live on the same planet, but every single individual has like different, like there's like, what's the population, like 8 billion now or whatever? It's 8 billion.
Yeah, 7.5.
Yeah, so 7.5. So there's 7.5 billion worlds. You know what I'm saying? It's not one world, it's like 7.5 billion of them. Because like that's what I'm saying. So it's like when you have a conversation with another person, it's two different worlds interacting with each other. They're on the same planet, but their kind of understanding of what the world is entirely different. You know what I'm trying to say? Like to me, like if there's someone, let's say if there's someone in America that you know, to me they don't exist. You know what I'm trying to say? Because I don't know them. They're not even within my existence. They're not even within my world
Your
of
consciousness.
Yes, it's you know what I'm trying to say. They exist on the planet, but they don't exist to me. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's this whole it's crazy. Yeah. So I think we're gonna start wrapping up. But there's a question we like to ask every single guest that comes on to the show. But this time I'm gonna do it in a scenario sort of way. Yeah.
Okay.
So you got a YouTube channel, yeah, and it happens that you have 7.5 billion people watching it. Yeah, the whole world's population, they're all subscribed to you. Yeah. And you have this one opportunity to make this video, special video to all of them. Yeah. What do you want to tell them?
Damn. What a question.
You love complicating this question, you know.
Bruv, let me
The question is simple. If you had one chance to say something to 7.5 billion people, what would you say? This guy's out
don't worry, storytelling, innit? Exactly, storytelling. Come on, Xavier knows what's up, bro. He knows what.
Get on board, bro.
Exactly, bro.
I'm joking. You're up.
Yeah, I'm
I'm still thinking, man.
Do you know what? Mine's probably gonna sound a bit corny, but like, take care of the people around you and your immediate environment as well as you can. Just because of like, you know, with this whole COVID period, everything we've kind of been through in terms of what globe, you know, the environment right now and things like that. Like, we've got actually, as youth, I think it's kind of a thing where like, like we don't need to take it seriously or blah blah blah. But like that would be the first thing I'd probably say. Take care of the immediate people around you, your friends, family, and your immediate environment. Yeah,
that's a great message. That's a great message. What about you, Xavier?
Man, this one loaded. That's the ballistic gun on this one. But yeah, man. Still taking my time on this one, man. I think I'd say focus on becoming the best version of yourself so that you can serve other people to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Because you can't pour water from an empty cup on that side. You can't pour your light into other people if you don't take care and nurture your own light and spirit on that side. So mind your business, family first, master yourself, master your world, enjoy life abundantly, laugh hard, learn not to take life too seriously, but learn to take it seriously at the same time. And enjoy this ride that we got and this marathon we call life, man.
I like that, man. You can't give something you ain't got.
Yeah, man.
yeah.
But yeah.
Respect, man, for having me,
come
bro.
on.
And
Much gratitude. Thanks for being on here.
King.
So yeah, that's it. That's it for this episode, for this week's episode. If you was watching it, just let us know which parts you enjoyed, what you liked. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell everyone. Tell your mum. Tell your dad.
Tell auntie, man. Tell auntie while she's cooking the jollof to make sure she got the fine surface podcast on. Yeah.
Exactly. Tell everyone. But I appreciate you a lot and bless.
Bless up.